So I'm going to show you how to multiply two fractions together. The general form I'll write here, and I'll explain it to you first, and you might not understand it, but then once I do the examples, you'll understand exactly what I'm saying or what I said before. When you're multiplying two fractions, let's say the first fraction has the form a in the numerator and d in the denominator. And the second fraction has b in the numerator and c in the denominator. How you would multiply these two fractions is the following. You would multiply the two numerators together, put that in the numerator, and then you would multiply the two denominators together and put that in the denominator. So the resulting fraction would be the multiplication of the two numerators in the numerator and the multiplication of the two denominators in the denominator. Let's do an example. So how would we multiply these together, these two fractions? What I said was you multiply it, you take the resulting fraction, would be the multiplication of the numerators of the two fractions. So that's 2 times 3, because 2 is in the numerator and 3 is in the numerator. So you multiply 2 times 3. And in the denominator of the resulting fraction would be the multiplication of the two denominators of the original fractions. So 2 over 3 times 3 over 4 would result in 2 times 3, so 2 times 3 in the numerator. And then we'd have 3 times 4 in the denominator. Just like in the original case, you take the two numbers in the numerator of the fractions, you multiply them together. So a times b, a times b. You would multiply the two denominators together of the fractions, so that would be d times c, and that's what you have here, d times c. In this example, 2 over 3 times 3 over 4 would be 2 times 3 and 3 times 4. So one way you can think of it is multiply what's on top, put that there, multiply what's on the bottom, put that at the bottom. Let's do one more example. If we were asked to multiply these two fractions, what do? We know that the fraction that results from this multiplication has 7 times 2 in the numerator. We multiply the numerators of the two fractions together, and then in the denominator, it would have 3 times 5. Or the multiplication of the denominators of the original fractions. So we have 7 times 2 in the top, and we have 3 times 5 at the bottom. Multiply the tops, put it here on the top, multiply the bottoms, put it at the bottom. Let's do one more. Okay, what is the multiplication of these two fractions? Well, we probably already know how to do this by now, but we multiply the numerators together, which would be -2 times -1, because we're just multiplying the numerators together, putting that on the top of the fraction, and then we're multiplying the bottom, or the denominators together, and putting that at the bottom of the resulting fraction. So that would be 3 times 5. And we can simplify because we have two negatives, and a negative times a negative is just positive. So this is just 2 times 1. So just to recap, whenever you have two random fractions and you're asked to multiply them, you multiply the top numbers together, put that in the top of the fraction, and you multiply the bottoms of the fractions together, so d times c, and you put it at the bottom of the fractions, of the resulting fraction.